Overcoming loneliness. The journey to happiness. Is it true that you are the only one experiencing loneliness? Have you ever felt like an island in the vast ocean, even when surrounded by people? Have you ever felt lost, even in a crowd? Loneliness is like a shadow engulfing the soul, making us feel adrift and empty. It drives us to flee, searching for a peaceful refuge. But the more we search, the lonelier we become. Is it true that you are the only one going through this? So how can one overcome loneliness? Loneliness is like a fine drizzle, gradually soaking into the soul, dulling the bright colors of life. It's like a small boat drifting on the sea of life, unable to find a peaceful shore. As the poet Tagore once shared, the lonely person has lost themselves in the crowd. So, how can we overcome loneliness, find ourselves again, and escape the feeling of being adrift, so that happiness can return? The story of a dynamic and talented young man. He often appears at parties and gatherings with friends. Laughter fills the air, and colorful lights surround everyone. But deep down, he feels like an outsider. Every time he takes a sip of his drink, he tastes bitterness on the tip of his tongue, not the taste of alcohol, but the taste of loneliness. The funny stories and cheerful jokes from his friends pass by him indifferently. He tries to blend into the atmosphere, but his smiles feel strangely forced. Sometimes, he feels like a solitary leaf drifting on the river. No matter how many other leaves are around, he still feels lonely. He recalls his childhood, the days spent with family, and the love of friends. But now, everything seems to have changed. He feels lost even among his loved ones. At work, he always strives to complete the tasks assigned to him. He participates in meetings and projects, yet still feels like he doesn't belong there. His colleagues are always close-knit, sharing joyful and sorrowful stories of life. As for him, he silently works and keeps his distance from everyone. Each night, when he returns to his room, he sinks into endless thoughts. He wonders, what is happening? Or is he simply not good enough to have deep relationships? The feeling of loneliness lingers there, something he can't share with anyone. Is there anyone who sees themselves in this story? As the writer Albert Camus once said, "In the depths of every soul, there is a small room where we escape from the world." The writer Franz Kafka once wrote, "In this life, everyone is an island, but whether these islands can connect to form a continent is something we decide for ourselves." The story of H's breakup with their lover. H always took pride in her relationship. She and he had shared many beautiful memories together, from their first dates full of excitement to romantic trips they took. However, their love gradually faded, and eventually, they decided to part ways. In the early days after the breakup, H felt as though the world had collapsed. She was immersed in sadness, unwilling to do anything. The room, once warm, now felt cold and empty. Every corner of the room reminded her of the beautiful memories with him. H often replayed the songs they used to listen to, looked at old photos, and couldn't hold back her tears. She tried to seek comfort in the arms of friends, but the feeling of loneliness still enveloped her. H felt like she was lost in the crowd. She couldn't share her true emotions with anyone, fearing judgment. H began to blame herself, wondering if she had done something wrong. She recalled the arguments and harsh words they had exchanged. The feelings of guilt and regret only deepened her pain. To forget the sadness, H threw herself into her work. She worked tirelessly day and night, hoping that work would distract her from negative thoughts. However, when night came and everyone had gone home, she was left alone to face herself. After a while, H realized that avoiding her emotions wouldn't solve her problems. She decided to confide in a close friend. During the conversation, H realized that she wasn't truly alone. There were still many people who loved and cared for her. With the encouragement of her friends and family, H gradually regained her spirit. She started participating in social activities, exploring new hobbies, and opening up to those around her. H realized that life still had many exciting things waiting for her ahead. The feeling of loneliness after stepping out of a relationship is not something you experience alone. That pain is inevitable. However, we must take responsibility for regaining balance, overcoming the pain, and seeking happiness for ourselves. The important thing is that we need to know how to face our emotions, seek support from those around us, and continuously strive to get back on track. Loneliness in the loss of her father. In a small, peaceful village, there was a girl named Em. She lived with her family in a small house filled with laughter and love. Em was a cheerful girl who always brought joy to those around her. One day, a sudden accident took the life of Em's father. The whole family was engulfed in pain and loss. Em felt as though her world had collapsed. She couldn't believe that her father was gone forever. In the days that followed, Em lived in a state of lethargy and loneliness. She didn't want to eat, didn't want to talk to anyone. She felt like she was lost in a world without her father. One day, while walking in the park, Em met an elderly man sitting on a bench. He had white hair and sad eyes. Em felt something familiar in his gaze, as if the loneliness that enveloped him was the same loneliness she felt. Em decided to approach and strike up a conversation with the elderly man. They talked about life, loss, and sorrow. The elderly man shared with Em the lonely days after his wife passed away. Alone in the house full of memories, he ate meals that he could barely swallow. His longing for her deepened each day, drowning him in grief. He said that there was a time when he felt like he couldn't go on living. But then he realized that life continued, and he had to find a way to keep living in honor of his beloved wife. The old man's words touched Em's heart. She realized that she wasn't alone and that others were going through similar pain. She also realized that life went on, and she had to find a way to keep living, to live with more meaning in memory of her father. From that point on, Em began to change. She started participating in social activities and meeting new friends. She worked hard in her studies and achieved great accomplishments in honor of her father. Em still remembered her father every day, but she no longer felt lonely. She knew that he was watching over her every step, every action she took. Loneliness always leaves scars on the soul. But remember, after the rain comes the sunshine. Loneliness, a familiar emotion that each of us has experienced once or many times in life. It comes without exception, whether it is the pain of losing a loved one, as in the case of the elderly man, or the heartache of separation is felt by age, or simply the feeling of being lost in a crowd. Like the successful young man, loneliness leaves scars on the soul. However, as shown by the stories of the young man, and the elderly man, loneliness is not the endpoint but a part of the life journey. After the COVID-19 pandemic, many families were shattered, and the pain of loss was immense. After a flood, an entire village was wiped out. Yet, in the end, those who are still alive must continue living. What matters is how we face and overcome it to rediscover joy and meaning. Remember, after the rain comes the sunshine, and after the cold winter days, spring will come again. The most precious thing in life is that we were born human and given the gift of life. The ups and downs, the joys and sorrows, are just experiences we must go through on this journey. Learning to be grateful even for the difficult moments will bring happiness back to us. One person can change the world, and you can do it too. Open your heart to those around you. Build new relationships. Cherish the ones you have. Take care of yourself. Exercise. Eat healthily. Spend time doing what you love. Pursue your passions, and seek new goals. As Nelson Mandela once said, one person can change the world, and you can do that too. Turn loneliness into motivation to explore yourself. Push beyond your limits, and live a meaningful life. Believe that you are not alone on this journey. Out there, many others are also trying to overcome just like you. You must overcome, simply because it is necessary. We appreciate you taking the time to watch our video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our latest content. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. You're awesome. Thanks for your support.